Hi, I'm Phil Town from Rule 1 Investing, and today I want to talk to you about my morning routine and how it helps my investing. So the early morning hours to me are a variable thing all by themselves. So when I say early morning hours, what I mean is when I first get up, because I may get up at 10, 11, 7, 6, 5. I've got one of those weird nervous systems that basically sleeps 8 hours whenever I go to bed. So if I'm writing a book or something, I tend to go to bed really late. I get up 8 hours later. So when I say early morning hours, I mean from the time I get up in the morning. And those hours set the tone for the rest of the day that follows, and making them one of the most important parts of my day is kind of the way I get the day structured, so I get a good day out of it. So how should an investor spend a morning in order to improve your investing success? I guess that's kind of the question here. And I got to tell you, good investors spend their morning lots of different ways, but I'm just going to answer it for how I do it. And I'll kind of detail what my morning routine consists of and how I think that really helps me with my investing. But before we get started on this, just make sure you click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you'll get notifications when I release new videos. Now, my mornings are pretty well structured. I'm kind of laughing at myself because anybody who knows me knows I'm a fairly unstructured person, and that's the way I like to live my life. I'm not 9 to 5 on pretty much anything. So when I say my morning routines are fairly well structured, that's fairly well structured for me, okay, for me. So each day I kind of have the same basic routine in mind. So let's say I get up in a particular morning at 7 a.m. I'm going to get up and I'm going to wake up. And if it's early, Melissa, my wife, will still be there. If it's not early, she's gone and I'm still sleeping. So she's an early morning riser. When she goes to bed, she wakes up in the dawn. So she has a whole different routine than I do. She's like a farmer. She's like a girl who milks cows. She's boom, dawn comes, she's gone. So if it's 7 a.m., I might see her. And what we're going to do is we're going to lie in bed there and put on the TV and kind of get CNBC, kind of working behind the scene there, maybe Bloomberg channel, to just kind of see what's going on overnight and if anything might affect the market. But I'm not sitting there like a day trader wondering how I'm going to make the day's trades as a result of what I'm seeing on CNBC. It's really sort of background noise. And in case someone comes on there that I really like listening to, like if they've got a segment going with Warren Buffett or John Najarian or somebody like that, Ray Dalio, I'll listen to it because I really like those guys and I respect them. And I want to see what they have to say that day. So this is sort of getting rolling time, lasts about 45 minutes. Now during this time, I'm going to get out my iPhone and I'm going to start reading the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. And if Barron's has come out with anything recent, I'm going to read that. So those three things are where I'm getting started with my day. I'll begin with the Wall Street Journal and then over to the New York Times. I'm going to also crank up a double latte, macchiato latte kind of thing going on, where half of the cup is macchiato with all of the foam and the other half is a latte. You probably don't need to know that. So coffee to get things rolling. And about 7:45, let's say if I'm starting at 7 here, 7:45 or so, then I'm going to get rolling and get downstairs. Now I've tricked myself into working out and it's working really good. The first thing I did is trick myself is I got a gym downstairs so I don't have to get in a car and drive someplace and get to a gym. So I put a gym downstairs and it's complete with mirrors on the wall so that I can look at myself and go, oh dear Lord, work out harder, man, because you need it. And so the gym is right there, easy to get to. Now, I'm going to go to the gym because I get a reward after the gym. Here's how the gym works. I've been convinced by a really good doctor that the best way to work out is to do intervals. And so I go down and I've got an elliptical made by Arc Trainer, and I've got a really good rowing machine called the Concept 2. And I connect the Concept 2 to my computer and run a thing called Row Pro, which basically lets me race against other rowers but I'm not strong enough to race against like real rowers. So I race against computer rowers, and I set it up so they'll lose. So this is fun. I'm going to beat them in the end. And at least I hope I will. And so I'm going to do intervals on this row machine, which means I'm going to try to do 45 seconds to 1 minute really hard. And then when my breath gets back to roughly normal, heart rate back down to around 100, then I'm going to hammer it again. I'm going to do 10 minutes like that on the rowing machine, and then I'm going to do 10 minutes like that on the arc, and do the same thing, just basically sprinting as hard as I can go for 45 seconds, and then recover however long that takes, and then do another one. I try to do like 6 of those intervals on each one of those machines, and I try to have this whole routine take about 20 to 30 minutes. Then I get on weights, crank on weights for a little while, like 3 reps on the arm, shoulders, and everything. My left shoulder's kind of wrecked right now, so I can't do bench presses, but I try to do something. Then that's it. I'm done. I'm out of there in 30 to 40 minutes, done with the gym, got a good sweat on, and I go over and I get on the rug. And I now, by the way, I'm running rock and roll music as loud as I can go without bugging Melissa. And that's sort of motivating. And then I go over on the rug and I start to stretch. And I do a set of yoga asanas that I learned like 40 years ago, and just gently stretch it all out. And I throw in a few just, athletic stretches to go with it. I'll also do some planks right then. I'll work a couple of planks where you just sort of get on your hands and your arms and your toes and just sort of plank out like that to work the core. And basically just kind of starting to settle down, do some more stretching, and I'll do about 15 minutes right there. And now my breathing's all back down to normal, heart rate back to normal. And I then pick up the iPhone, get the shoes off, and walk into the theater, which is the quietest place in the house. And I've got a big, huge couch there, and I just prop up my legs and sit in a comfortable sitting position and start doing breathing exercises that you may have done at yoga or whatever. I learned these a long time ago as well. I do this breathing stuff, and it sort of starts to flow, what the yogi guys call prana. But I just feel it like it settles me down. That's all I'm going for. Just settling down, quieter and quieter. And then I've got my phone set on a little timer. When 10 minutes has gone by, it dings very quietly. And then I reset the timer to 20 minutes and a very quiet little dinger. And I put that there. And now the lights are down low. Nobody's bothering me. Put a little blanket around my shoulders and I sit quietly and I start to meditate. I do transcendental meditation, but you can do any kind of meditation, or you can do contemplative prayer and the same thing. What this does is it just gets me all down deep. And I just stay down there. 20 minutes goes by in a flash, and then, I'm ready to stay there for a long time, but little ding goes off, right? And then I just come back up and lay down. I just stretch out right there, lay down. 5 minutes later, I'm done with the morning routine. Now that takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that. At the end of that, it's typically 9:30 to 10 o'clock in that range if I'm starting at 7, and I am ready to kill it during the day. I feel so good. I feel like I've started my day off right. Go upstairs. Typically by this time, Melissa, our housekeeper, Angie, has prepared a really good, healthy juice drink. Mostly vegetables, a little bit of something sweet in there to make it something that I'll drink. So I drink a juice drink, that takes care of breakfast, and then I'm straight into the office. Now, in the office, 10 a.m., I'm in there. I've missed the morning opening in the market because I just don't care. I'm not almost ever about just executing something right now. And the reason for that is because I don't know which direction it's going to go any more than anybody else does. So I'm just waiting for all of the lunatics to get done with whatever they're doing. And typically professional traders are coming in around 10 o'clock and entering the market. And then I'm going to look at the market. I'm just going to kind of take a look at the companies, see if anything strange is going on anywhere, check the news on these companies. If I haven't seen anything in the journal, then I'm going to check the news specifically on those companies. And then I'm just going to see if I want to execute any trades today, because we do some trading, right? I'll do a little bit of options trading in the companies that I really like and think I have an understanding about the value, where I have an edge. And I'm going to do that. But that's about it with regard to the market. I mean, mostly what I'm going to do now for the rest of the day is I'm going to get very comfortable and I am going to read. Investing ultimately is about reading a lot, and you read a lot of anything. So I really like to read things that sometimes are kind of like homeworky, like in college, and then intermix it with stuff I'm really interested in. So if I see a book, let's say that Bill Gates is recommending one of the top 10 books I've ever read, which I think is what he wrote about, Sapiens, which is a book I'm reading. I'm going to really enjoy reading this book. This is about, like taking anthropology to a whole new level from where it was last time I was in college, and seeing all the things going on that influences our behaviors today. That's a fascinating book, right? What does that got to do with investing? The answer is nothing specifically and everything generally, right? Charlie Munger says he's never, I think he said he's never met a great investor that doesn't read a lot. Monesh Prabhat reads everything. Warren Buffett reads everything. Guy Spear reads everything. And I try to do the same thing. I try to read a lot. Now, maybe I've got an investing idea. Like at one point in time, I was looking really hard at railroads. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load myself up with books about railroads. And I'm going to, if you've got money, you just order them off of Amazon. Everything to do with railroads, intermodal, the whole thing, just pile them up. And so for a few days, Amazon is bringing books to me like crazy. I might end up with 30 books on railroading, and those just end up in a pile on or near my desk in a table in my office. And I'll sit down and I'll start flipping through a book. I'm not going to read them like I'm going to take a test on them. I'm just going to look through to see if I understand something about what's going on with this book, and then zoom over to the next one, throw it aside, maybe take some notes on something. But I'm going to be reading a lot during the day. And this is a key thing to be an investor, is to understand that investing isn't about buying stocks and it isn't about selling stocks. Investing is what happens while you wait. Investing is the process of gathering in more knowledge about your world so that when something goes on sale, you'll recognize it, okay? And that comes from having sort of a broad view of the world. Best I can tell you, it's a broad view of the world. All right, so we're gonna do that almost like a hobby, I think. It's like more than an investing work job, which is why so many guys like me keep doing what we're doing until we just drop dead, right? I mean, Walter Schloss, who was like a contemporary of Warren Buffett, he's older than Buffett, older even than Charlie Munger. Walter died a couple years ago. I mean, he was investing until the last 5 days of his life. And that meant he spent a lot of time reading about everything. His office is full of books about this and that. And that's the way mine is too. That's the way Warren's is. That's the way Charlie's is. And that's the way yours should be too. The longer you live, the more you read, the more you know, the better investor that you are. So roughly, typically, if there's such a thing as typically in my life, typically around 5 o'clock, I'm going to start shutting it down, unless I'm really involved in something I can't stop, right? Some book I'm reading I don't want to stop. I'm going to start shutting it down around then, and that's when the horses go to work, right? So I'm going to call down to the barn, or I'll call Melissa and I'll say, okay, now let's get on a horse at 5:30. And somebody down there is going to put a saddle, one of our staff is going to put a saddle on one of my horses, and I'm going to go down there and get my second workout of the day in. Now, this workout isn't more like a physical workout. This is a mental workout. Riding a horse for me is one of the most mind-clearing, soul-building, spirituality-building things that I can do. I get on that horse, I start to feel what that animal's all about. We start to tune in with each other. We'll do some exercises for the horse, or we'll just go on a ride with Melissa and we'll just go out into the property and start checking out things. What are they doing out in that part of our farm, and get all out into the country. And where we live because of that. We can get on a horse. We pick this particular place to live because we can get on a horse 12 months a year, ride straight out of the back, and we can go for 10, 15 miles and maybe only cross one little country road, and be way out there in nature. And I'm just going to blow out all of that reading that I did. I'm going to get my eyes out, focus long distance. I'm going to be looking at the birds. I'm going to be looking at the trees. I'm going to be listening to Melissa tell me what's going on for stuff that she sees that I don't see, because she's amazing out there. And that is a critical part of our day. It's what I miss most when I have to go on the road. And that's it. Then we come in, we do a dinner. Now, somewhere in there, often Melissa will bring me in a lunch. I typically will eat just on the run. I call it on the run. It's me sitting at the desk, wolfing down a salad or something in the middle of the day. Now, by the time we get back from riding a horse, usually about 7 to 8 o'clock, And then we might meet friends in town for a dinner, like a late bite, or typically we're just going to kind of cool it down for the day. Melissa and I will talk about what we're doing, and then we get ready for sleep and do it all over again the next day. Now that routine is idealized, okay? Anybody who knows me who's watching this is going to be going, oh, please, right? Because they'll get emails from me at 3 a.m, or I'll be writing at that time. But it's an ideal, and I target it, and we try to get into that routine as much as possible. And that routine is part of my investing practice. It's the critical thing that I do. Gets me a calm head, gets me where I want to be as an investor, better than anything else I know how to do. So now, I would love to hear from you guys. I'm sure you've got very different routines out there, if anything is routine for you. Especially if you're working 9 to 5 and you've got kids, how do you fit some of this stuff in? What I described probably sounds pretty good to a lot of you, but there's no time in the day to do that kind of stuff. This is a routine that is important for a very, very specific reason, not just as generally as an investor. It also keeps me grounded. And one of the most important things that you can do for yourself is to keep yourself grounded so that you can stay rational when other people are getting emotional in the market, so that you're not affected by the moods of the stock market, so that your choices about what businesses you want to own and what prices you're willing to pay aren't determined by what the market's doing. And that's very, very hard to achieve that, actually, as even an individual investor. To achieve that requires some sort of structure that takes you away from all of that echo chamber that the stock market turns out to be. It's one of the reasons I don't live in New York City. It's one of the fundamental reasons Guy Spear lives in Zurich, away from the New York markets. Buffett's in Omaha, away from the New York markets. Pobrai is in Newport Beach, away from the markets. Dan Loeb's in Malibu, he surfs every morning. So all of us have different kinds of routines. Guy Spear loves to hike, he loves to climb on skis, snowboards, or goes up on snowshoes into the Zurich mountains. Danielle loves to do that same kind of thing. She and Nuno go on bike rides. They go on hikes in the mountains as a regular routine to get away from the pressures of constantly being in the market. I would say one of the worst things you can do is spend a lot of time on the market all the time. You will get caught up in the CNBC world of reality distortion that goes on out there. And I want you to not distort reality. Best way to do it, have a great routine, get in some meditation, get in some exercise, get in some time on a horse or whatever your equivalent is. Maybe it's a surfboard, and get that done. So, love to hear from you. What does your morning routine look like, or your afternoon routine? Leave a comment below with your answer. Believe me, this one's going to blow up because everybody's got something to say about this. So thanks for watching, you guys. Now go play. Hey, if you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable for teaching you more about investing and morning routine, hit the like button, and please share this video with your friends. And if you want more investing content, subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to click the button on the screen for a free gift. It's awesome. And thanks again for watching.